What was the drug of choice at the time?
Well, whatever you've got. Went from alcohol to pot to cocaine to fucking crack to heroin to fucking everything, you know what I mean?
It's episode 223 of the Cassius Morris Show. Thanks for tuning in to this brand new edition of the podcast. Joined today by a very special guest from a rather unique band coming from the 80s and 90s era. This is a band that, without fail, seems to come up frequently whenever I'm watching media, documentaries about the time. And my guest today is Donnie Vie, of course, lead singer of Enuff Z'Nuff, of course, a respected solo artist in his own right. This is an exciting time for Donnie in the band as he just won back the master recordings and rights to the lion's share of his music. So obviously very exciting, opens up a lot of possibilities as to what you can do as a band, what you can release. I know there's a box set in the works potentially that we sort of touched on during this podcast, but this is really a full spectrum interview. We talk about starting off at 15 years old, sneaking into 21 and up bars, drug addiction and the truth about it. So many different aspects that you may not have thought of in this interview, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And if you do, please make sure to click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. It doesn't cost a cent. You'll have regular content coming to you all the time that's hopefully entertaining. And click that little notification bell right next to the subscribe button to get real-time updates about all the content I'm putting up here. Also on our audio platforms, that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio. Click that follow or subscribe button and stay up to date on all of these platforms. Wherever you can find podcasts, you can find this show. So without further ado, let's hop into this interview. Catch up with you guys after.
Alrighty.
That's what I'm talking about. Like John Lennon over here. Legendary. Thanks so much for joining me, by the way. My name's Cassius, host of the Cassius Morris Show, out here in Canada. So just wanted to really get you on the platform and talk about what you have going on right now.
All right. Thank you.
So I guess the first question would be, how's life going at the moment? Things are sort of opening up a little bit throughout the United States. I know you're working on a lot of new music. Talk to me about what's been going on.
Well, not too long ago, just finished a new video for a new single that I had been wanting to release for over a year now, but the timing hasn't been right for it. And we got together with some old friends and made an incredible video for the song. And it's still, I don't feel like it's time to release it. So I'm looking through and seeing what other new stuff I've got and see if maybe I can pop something out in between, up until then. And I had one thing I thought I was going to have ready, but when I finished it, I was like, it wasn't up to my standards. So I said, no, I'm not going to release anything I don't think that is at least as good as the last thing I've released, so. Sure. Yeah, writing and recording a bunch of stuff, just kind of laying in a dormant mood, mode. And it's kind of chill and relaxing. I'm not so worried about live performing because I don't do a lot of that, I might, if the situation calls for it, but yeah, I don't have any tentative plans right now for any touring or anything like that. I don't think touring is something that actual touring is something that I'd be really into doing anymore. Just maybe shows, decent shows and stuff.
Individual shows.
Yeah, we got Chip and I got a box set coming out in a couple of, month or two. Yeah. I just found out today, I think it's all unreleased demos or something like that. And we just started talking today about putting something cool together in commemorative of that release, possibly maybe a little short set or something that we videotape and put it out. And but we, like I said, we just started talking about it today, and sounds like a pretty good idea to me. Yeah. And, like the Enuff Z'Nuff catalog, the licensing got picked up by a label called Cleopatra, and they've been re-releasing all the records. And I guess I think the third one or second, I think it's just the third one's coming out soon. I do believe Dissonance and Peach Fuzz are out already, and I haven't seen the Peach Fuzz one yet, but they're pretty good. I like this label.
So they keep them coming out pretty consistently.
Yeah. They put out the first one, and Dissonance it wasn't that long ago, man. It was like right after we did the deal. It was within a month that record was out.
Wow.
And then fast, they put them out quick enough that I don't even know that they're out yet.
Right. That's pretty damn quick.
But I'm on the Late Show and a lot of that stuff, though. I don't I don't pay a lot of attention to that shit.
I hear you. You're the artist, there's people to handle some of these things. And, I know you're currently working to secure some of the masters for your solo work. Is that correct?
I did get them all back.
You got them all back.
Cost some money, but yeah, I got them all back. Now I own all of my shit.
How long did that take for you to get them back?
Well, when you have money, you know what I mean? Things don't take so long. It doesn't
take too long.
Yeah, I didn't have to fight and haggle too hard. They weren't on great labels, and there just wasn't any action being done with them. If you could even find it, some of them anymore, and I think there's 5 studio records and 4 or 5 studio records and a bunch of other miscellaneous shit. But like I said, we did that licensing deal with the Enuff Z'Nuff shit, and the money that I took, some of the money that I got from that and bought back my records, including the latest one, Beautiful Things, from that last label, and also used a lot of money to pay for the video budget, stuff like that. So shit costs a lot. It costs more money than you make money in this business lately, at least for me.
It's an expensive thing to become an artist, and I think a lot of people may not realize that, or to continue being an artist, even if you've been an artist for a long time.
Well, as far as monetary value, money-wise, yeah, it costs a lot more than people think. Because when you start looking at your mental and physical and your health and everything that goes into it, your whole life, you sacrifice pretty much 75% of what other people take for granted as a life that they know it. Right. A lot of that you can kiss goodbye. There's a lot of things, because to do something like this, it has to come first, in your life, and it is number one. And in order to live a normal, regular life, with family and all that stuff and kids and stuff like that, that has to be number one. So right off the bat, me personally, I sacrificed all of that for this, and I gave it a shot, trying it all, and that didn't work out for me. So, I'm kind of content right now as it is, in a good situation, good family, good people around me. Got a great, still intermediate family right here, and yeah, pretty happy.
You seem like you're in a good place.
Yeah. It's my favorite place to be in the world is my studio in the room here.
Yeah, no, it looks like a good environment to be, especially during, a lockdown sort of situation like this. You talk about the cost of being an artist. Did those sacrifices come in for you right away when you guys started Enuff Z'Nuff, or did you feel the weight of that sort of coming in as you guys became successful?
Which are you referring to?
I mean, sort of
it does to you. You're fucking.
Yeah, the cost of the relationships and the mental health, the physical health.
Well, as far as the mental and the psychological, it's a kind of a give and take thing. I mean, it starts taking from me personally. It started taking from me at like 5 or 6 years old, because that's when I zoned in and knew that's where I'm going. So everything else is kind of got pushed to the the outside, and as I've, got more into it, there's a lot of other things that result as of what I'm doing, like all this other shit falling down around me, caused me a lot of stress and anxiety and stuff, which led to a lot of medicating, and it just snowballs, till it finally reached a point where, the big success and stuff had died down, and what you're left with, is, that's the thing about it, because that what you're left with then, isn't a whole lot, you know what I mean? And so
right
after all the party's over, and that's when you're dealing with, but I mean, it just keeps going. It's costing me, it's cost me my whole life, but I mean, I wouldn't trade it. It's what I do. It's my purpose.
Exactly. And I think that's really what it is with any calling. And, life on the road has its differences from, a stable job. But even the people with the stable jobs in the same city, I think they give, most of their life to that. And I'm finding it sort of unavoidable. I think people think that being on stage, singing or playing guitar means that you have no stress and no worries. But I'm starting to learn it's far the opposite of that.
Even when you're all fucked up and medicated and stuff, you're still got stress and worry, is that's causing a lot of extra, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's not what people think it is, I mean? And most artists will tell you that as well, it's not what everybody imagines that it is,
Right, exactly. So you knew that you wanted to be sort of a rock star, for lack of a better term, or sing when you were 5 or 6?
Yeah, I started out, obviously the first thing that I wanted to be was a singer,
right.
And then as I got older and started getting more an understanding of what was happening, I mean, you really don't understand what you're learning or what's going on, when you're young and stuff. And
yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not sure a 5-year-old would know rock star if that even means,
But I could see glimpses of it in my mind. Right. I could see little flashes of the future, and it was enough to drive me to keep going. I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to being an actual rock star, rich and famous, was never really on my list of what I was out to accomplish. What I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a good artist,
right.
and respected it for what I do. And as far as that goes, I think I achieved that.
Oh, without question, thinking back to the earlier days, of Enuff Z'Nuff, how long was it exactly until you guys got your Atlantic Records label? Because I know it was very quick for you guys.
Well, from the time Chip and I first started making music together till the time we had our first major record deal, it was a very short amount of time. I believe it was 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. And within a year or two, we were already well on our way to where there was no doubt that we were going to have some success. And
right.
Just, when finally the last nail in the coffin or whatever is when you actually sign that deal, I mean? But that's a whole other world of problems and shit. But it was very quick. And I was, we were very young. He's a bit older than me. So
mm-hmm.
he was like, the big brother I never had, and I was like his little brother, and he had a brother. He just passed away, but his brother and him didn't really relate,
mm-hmm.
like he and I did. And so I just became his little brother. He became my big brother, which I hadn't had up until then, didn't have a father or anything like
right.
that. And so he was like the mother and father that I had never had, and he was, and thinking back at it now, he was just a kid, I think he was maybe 22 or 23, when we,
and he was your senior.
Yeah. He's,
right.
I think he's 5 years older than me.
So you guys were literally kids.
Yeah. Well, I know I didn't have I wasn't able to drink in bars.
Right.
I mean,
how did that work?
But I wasn't able
right.
to do it.
Were you guys playing in 18 or I guess 21 and up bars, and you were kind of sneaking in, or?
I was sneaking in and playing those things to an extent when I was 15.
Wow.
Some shitty little bands and stuff. You just happen to meet somebody that knows somebody that knows the guy that owns a bar or something like that,
mm-hmm.
And before you know it, you're in there. And so it was pretty normal for me to be in that kind of environment by the time, but I mean, yeah, we were young. I think I met him, I was probably 16 or 17, maybe 17, 18.
Wow.
And then by the time I still, it's foggy, the time schedule on all that to me, because
sure.
it's a foggy time. There's a lot happened in a lot of, short amount of time. And so, yeah, I was pretty young. It was the first thing for me that I'd ever really done in my life was Enuff Z'Nuff. I did a couple of small little garage band type things, but Enuff Z'Nuff was like actually my first real band that I was in. And it's pretty cool that would be the one to launch with.
Yeah, I mean, God, the fact that you talked to Chip today, I mean, that's incredible. What a long withstanding relationship, And this is in Chicago that this started, right?
Yeah, Blue Island, south suburb of Chicago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he lived right over the bridge, like a mile from me, and I was always a fan of his. He played in a band that had some mild success in the Chicago area, and they were really good. And nice to go see him play at places, like when they play in like a VFW hall or some shit like that. I would go see them, and I was a big fan of his. I thought he was bigger than life, and hooking up with him and eventually meeting him and then working with him was huge for me. You know what I mean? And and it gave me a lot of confidence too. I'd never been a very confident person my whole life. I'm pretty insecure and kind of a scared, shyer type kid, at least until I knew you and stuff like that.
Right.
And all of a sudden, under his wing or together, and still to this day, if we do anything together, there's a confidence that I know this will go well.
Yeah, because you guys have that bond.
Except not necessarily personally. There's a lot of little issues with that. You have to been, through the ups and downs that and in this business, there's a hell of a lot more downs than there are ups. You know what I mean? And that's not what people don't understand that either.
Yeah.
Even a success band, when somebody says it's an overnight success, that's overnight for the fans to see it because they didn't hear about you yesterday, but it's not overnight, But
not
there was a confidence in that rose in me, walking on stage or into a studio or doing something with him. And like I said, to this day, if we're going to do something together, I automatically don't feel that insecurity, because he kind of takes the, he's the big brother again in the driver's seat, we go in and do it. And I'm the singer, I'm the kid.
I love that. That's what
I'll
an
be
amazing
57 this month. I'll be 57 years old. So,
and you keep the youthful spirit, though. That's what you got to do. Keeps you young, keeps you going, man. It's, so 15. I mean, going to adult shows in Chicago, suburb of Chicago. What was the scene like? Was it a pretty calm scene? Was it a lot of drugs in that scene? What were you seeing at that time?
Well, when we first started playing and stuff like that, getting out there and stuff, it was kind of the suburbanite version of what was going on out there. Everything kind of trickles in at you when you're in the suburbs and stuff. You don't get that wave, like you do if you're in LA or something, because Chicago didn't have a whole lot from that, of that aspect coming from it in those days. There was they had the blues and everything, like that through all the years and shit. But Chicago wasn't one of the major industry towns at that point yet, which now it is, but like, so we were out of all, there was a lot of bands out at that time. And they had a really good support for local bands in those days. They'd have, radio stations and stuff and some of the shows were designed just for us local musicians and stuff to get our stuff heard.
Nice.
And to get support and stuff. So when you go play shows and stuff, and it gets to a point of where it's almost more of a competition thing with the other bands and stuff, but we knew we kicked the shit out of them all.
Right.
They had a lot of, we kind of opened up a little bit of a door for getting some attention, some notice to Chicago as far as the pop rock and roll industry. And, a lot of things came after us and, Disturbed, Linkin Park, all that stuff. These guys opened up for us and then, went on to be huge. And, yeah, like I said, it wasn't always that, and especially coming from the suburbs area, we were always a day late and $1 short on that. So when the image of like the first record and the first videos and stuff, we were kind of not in the know of what we should be doing stylist wise, stylistically, appearance, stuff like that. And what we did before we had met with Derek and Vic was more of a flamboyant thing, like, dressing like rock stars and kind of animated, and then that other stuff came in and didn't really dawn on me, probably, or Chip, that we were actually glamming out at that point. That's what everybody was doing. And that's what was, if you wanted to get attention, you wanted to get chicks and stuff like that, you kind of had to do what they're doing, and you don't have any hindsight yet. It's all in front of you. So you don't have anything to base it on, really. To base it on. And so it's trial and error, but in and error in that business is every decision you make is life and death, and you've got to live with them the whole rest of your career. And just the appearance right off the bat, just that one little detail, still living with to this day. It was a mistake, and was what it was. It is what it is. It brought a lot of attention real quick, but it also cut off a lot of years of longevity.
Interesting. So that was around the point where maybe the labels felt like they didn't know where to place you guys exactly.
Well, major labels, they've gotten to be, even at that time, had already gotten to be like just manufacturing machines. So, it's not like what they were during the 60s and the 70s and stuff, where they're, working together with artists to create careers and to create, legacies and things like that. They'd become more of a machine that would, all right, well, what's selling? All right, the McDonald's is selling. Let's make more McDonald's. Let's make more of this. It's the same shit that's selling. Let's churn out more of that. And so they really don't have to think in those terms that, to look down the line and see, well, is this going to work for these guys 10 years from now? Is this and that? It's like, they don't give a fuck about that. That's our problem. And like I said, we were young. We're from Suburbans and stuff like that. And so Derek and Vic, our first drummer and guitar player, they were already kind of seasoned vets by that point, who had worked in LA and and shit like that. And so we're kind of like going off, gauging it off them, And it was a fatal mistake, but it was what it was. And I forget the question, but
no, it's okay. No, we're just talking about sort of the labels and how they were, trying to place you guys and handling you guys at the time. So at what point did you guys, and tell me if this is true, Enuff Z'Nuff got a $800,000 bill from Atco Records? Is this true?
Bill? I don't know about a bill. I know that we were heavily in debt. We're still in debt with them for those first couple of records. I don't remember ever getting an $800,000 bill.
Gotcha. So maybe that's a rumor.
A lot of good that would do to send me.
Right. So
just go in the pile with the rest of the bills.
So how does that come about? A situation like that?
What? Like what?
Like a sort of debt like that with a label.
Oh, a debt like that, because labels' pockets are deep, and it's not their personal money. You know what I mean? Like a president or ARR staff and crew like that. It's not their money. You know what I mean? And we're new and we're young. We don't realize that it's our money. You know what I mean? And so they're, everybody's spending money going to, in those days, you go in the recording studio, record a major national act record, which, we're looking at a minimum of $100,000, $150,000, to do that right. And then video wise, we're looking at another $100,000 or $200,000 of video. Everything in those days. Oh, we need this, bam, get it. You need this, you need that, get the best, get the best, get the best. And all this money is racking up, and the labels are forking it out. And we don't know any better. You know what I mean? It's, as far as we're concerned, we're gonna, we're going to be big rich millionaires and stuff. So like we're not worried about that stuff now. That's somebody else's money. They know it's our money that they're spending. We don't know that. You know what I mean? And
right
before you know it, we're 2 major records in to a deal, and at 5, 6 professional MTV videos and stuff like that, we're looking at it, where you're close to $1 million plus tour support, shit like that. You're over $1 million in the hole right there, and
man,
and you don't find that out until your money's gone, is where you're at the point of where you're kind of drowning now, is when the reality of it all comes in of that. Now you not only didn't make all this money, but now you're in the hole, like
right.
Us personally, we're ended up in the hole. So we ended up having to file a bankruptcy to get off that label and to get out of that deal, because it was a 8-record deal,
right.
The way the music business and all the labels and everything changed, and a big flip was going on at that time in the industry. Where we wasn't an ideal place for us anymore. It all of a sudden became the wrong place to be. That label wasn't the same label that had signed us, and it's not the same people or anything. And we would not have, it was made clear to us that we weren't going to be pushed or promoted or anything, so it's like sitting there, we're going to sit here for another 6 records,
right.
And so we filed a bankruptcy to, I think we were in, I don't know, it's definitely $1.5 million of money. I don't know what it was, but it was enough that I know we had to file a bankruptcy to get away from it. Otherwise, we'd still be sweeping the floors and shit over there.
But I mean, that's just good business, though. You guys had to do something, because I mean, if the label's not going to help you, why have the label, right?
That's what I say. You know what I mean?
Totally.
We went on to another major label, which was another. It's just it's a lot of not the best luck for Enuff Z'Nuff through all those years. We were good artists, terrible luck.
Well, I see it as an inspirational story, because I would see where you guys are at now and the relationship you guys have kept. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and you guys are still touching lives. So the next deal, was that with Clive Davis?
Yeah.
How did that come about with Clive Davis?
Well, once we knew we were leaving Arista or Atco, it was out. We had a lot of good street cred as far as these guys are fucking great. You know what I mean? It's like the look thing always threw everybody off. You know what I mean? It's but the way we were looking at it was, well, we can try to combine that what's happening image wise with what we're doing, and maybe we can create our own thing. And but it doesn't work that way, because they can't market you, and they can't figure out how to market you or do so. You got to be in a zone in that kind of situation. So, but we had a lot of street creds and stuff coming off that record. Those 2 records, the first one got went really big really fast, and then the second one, still to this day, people the Strength record, people say is like monumental record in of combining hard rock and orchestration and shit like that, and the way we did it, and remnants of like the Beatles and stuff like that. So we had a good, and all the the big artists and our heroes that we grew up loving, they were all now loved us, and so it wasn't hard getting showcases for new labels. You know what I mean? Right. At that point.
Totally.
And so we had a few on the line, Geffen, Capitol, and Arista. Clive gave the best pitch. The way that he had put it out there was the least amount, as he catered to our vanity and our egos, and that's what we followed that ball. You know what I mean? And still not knowing really what's going on and not having any experience, and then by that time I was getting pretty medicated, and so just pretty clueless out there. And it was definitely, that was another really wrong move to make, was with Arista, as opposed to like Kalogner over at Geffen, who wanted to sign the band, but his whole spiel was, says the band is a great band, completely fucked on the image and all this and that. We're going to tear it down, break it down, start it up from scratch again. Well, that sounded, that's what we should have done. And, but then you got Clive over here. Oh, this is great. I love this already. I love your demos. We're trying to make a record, here's a bunch of money, this and that. I'm Clive Davis. Look at all, I got John Lennon, I got this and that. We love you, this and that. So, all right, let's sign that one, you know what I mean? But that was definitely not a good fit. They didn't any have any rock market or anything like that. And so that wasn't hard to get that deal. But after 2 majors and with the state of the industry at that point, it was pretty much, a downward spiral from there, indies to go to the top indie records and then down the line to less indies. And before you know, we're just putting them out ourselves, and, still dwindling. I haven't finally reached the bottom yet.
Who has? You know what I mean? But that's just the condition of life. No. But hey, if you're at the bottom, then I want to be at the bottom. You know what I mean?
You're just a kid.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm 22.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm the age of Chip when you guys started.
I'd almost thrown it all away by your age.
What would you say to your 22-year-old you if you walked in the room right now?
Jesus. I don't even know. I don't think a 22-year-old me in that state you could have told anything to. Got pretty confident really fast, and like I said, medicated this and that. I think it would be more of a, what would I beat into him?
Right.
I'd have to start beating on him, let him know I'm serious. That you're gonna fuck this shit all up, buddy. And I would just, if to talk to any other artists, is pay attention, listen more than you talk. Do your research. Don't do any quick, irrational moves. Don't, make well thought out moves, and ask questions, and definitely keep your wits about you as far as drinking and drugs and stuff like that. That just don't work. It's not the 60s or 70s. You know what I mean? Then it did, but that's basically it. And keep your eyes in the back of your head, because everybody seems like your best friend at that time, you know what I mean? But they're really your best friend because they're making money off of you. And when that stops, and people that you think that you couldn't even fathom the idea of them ripping you off. Why would they rip me off? This and that and this and that. But most of the time, most of them are.
Right.
So know your shit, get your business senses together. And, it's nowadays, it used to be the music business. Now it's the business music.
That's crazy. I mean, no, it's more about business and it's less about music.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. I mean, that's so crazy to think about, and it was a different time. You mentioned like the sort of drugs and drink aspect. Was that something for the whole band, or was that something for just sort of a couple guys?
My guitar player and myself were the ones with the problems. We had a lot of issues. We were both weren't really raised. You know what I mean? Chip had a good mother and father. Vicky Fox had good parents. Something went wrong in that situation because he's kind of whack in the head, but he's all right. But I didn't have a father, and my mother was we have a relationship now, but we didn't always have much of a relationship, and but I forget what we're saying.
Oh, I was just sort of asking about the drug and drink aspect.
Oh, yeah.
So what was the drug of choice at the time?
Whatever you've got.
It was just anything.
Yeah, it's a party. Anything to not just wake up and just be me. You know what I mean? To be something else in some other state, which is sad. Right. At the time you feel like it's a party and you're enjoying yourself, but if it takes that to enjoy yourself, it's sad. You know what I mean? But when you go in, like you come into something as young as I did with so much unresolved baggage and issues and stuff, we gotta. What do you expect, And then, all he had was Chip. He just smoked pot. That's all he'd ever done,
Mm-hmm.
Derek and I, went from alcohol to pot to cocaine to fucking crack to heroin to fucking everything, you know what I mean? And anything you can get, pills. We weren't we weren't racist when it came to drugs, you know what I mean? Whatever you got.
Right. No discrimination there.
Yeah.
Man, so was it something that felt like it just escalated out of control before you realized?
You always know that it's out of control, but it's just a matter of your level of acceptance. Can you do you accept that you're out of this control? You know, you just don't. Everything is hindsight. Insight is hindsight. You know what I mean? You'll see that when you get to be my age. You'll be able to you would be able to make better decisions after you've experienced all of this. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of it kind of sucks going into something. And now it was different in the 70s and in the 60s and stuff. That was a whole different thing, a whole different vibe going on and everything. You know what I mean? And but by the time we came along, it's just it was just too much, too fast.
Yeah, it became something different.
It's all very inviting. It's a party for you wherever you go.
Right, but it may not actually be in the outside world. One of the last things I really want to know is, seeming so incredibly centered and at peace and such, what do you credit coming from where you're describing to getting to where you're at now in terms of clarity and dropping some of those bad things?
The powers that be. Powers that be, the same ones that channel the music through me so that people like yourselves can hear it, and they've got a plan, and sometimes you have to go through some shitty alleys to get to a road or whatever, and but like another experience, experience take place. It's you just get so sick and tired of being sick and tired, and there's also other things can help you, like good motivation, good inspiration to clean up would be the police.
That would help.
Judges and a police record and stuff like that. That's a good inspiration. And
right, which you faced.
Just when you're anybody who's really bad and hooked on drugs and this and that, it's a sad thing, and my heart breaks for them, because people look at a kid like that, or look at somebody like that and think, what a piece of shit, what an asshole to do this to himself, do this to all the people's lives around him and stuff, and don't realize that the guy that's happening to, it's happening to that person, and it's following you everywhere you go. It's just a dark, dismal world where most of them don't want to be alive anymore. I personally didn't. And you live your life long enough like that, and but anybody that, if you truly want to and you're truly ready to get it together, that's when you can. Until you've reached that point where you say whatever it takes. That's what you have to get to, that point of where you see whatever it takes. If it means jail, if it takes this, if it takes that, rehabs, whatever. If walking away from this, when you reach the point where you say whatever it takes, I've got to get out of this, and that's when you get away from that, and then hopefully you just, quitting it is one thing, keeping it together is another, and I'm like 5-6 years now, so
hey, congratulations, that's incredible. Very good.
I don't think anybody ever thought that would have happened.
Hey, well, even better,
I'm still
right?
alive, there's a lot of guys didn't make it, that weren't anywhere near as bad as me. And here I am. So there's got to be some kind of reason.
There absolutely is. Donnie, this has been incredible. I appreciate you sharing your insight with me. Is there anything else you want the people to know now that you're talking to them right now?
Well, fat chance I think that I'll get back into Canada. That's another whole show if you want to.
We'd love you here. We'd love you here.
I love it there.
You're banned from Canada?
Yeah, well, the words that they'd said to me was, "You'll never step foot in Canada again." And that's, like I said, it's another whole show and a whole story. But
we got to save that.
I was talking to Chip about that. Oh shit! Sorry.
No worries.
I was talking to Chip about that about a month ago, and from what I learned, we actually did go back to Canada, and I didn't even remember. I said, we went back to Canada. He goes, yeah. He goes, and I guess they just snuck us through. We went in at the right time, the right talking, the right schmoozers and this and that. And I kind of went in under the radar, sleep in my bunk, because didn't even realize I was going in there and made it in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but that was like that was a miraculous thing. But we were fun. It was funny. We were laughing about that. He's got a lot more memory of most of our past than I do, and I remember the artistic things. He remembers the events and everything that went on, the physical aspects of it.
Dates, times.
Yeah, I could tell you what instrument, what part, when this, that, all that stuff about when it comes down to songs and everything like that. He could tell you all the rest.
He's sort of like the encyclopedia.
Yeah, well, with one thing about that though is he can color those stories up all any way he chooses. So it's when I don't remember, what I mean, and I'm like, no, that didn't happen, and who are they going to believe,
Right.
The guy was fucked up all the time, and I made myself an easy target for a lot of these stories. And there's a lot of my reputation is considerably worse than the reality of what I've done, but
isn't that how it usually goes? I mean, Keith Richards has said the same thing,
Well, if I had anything to say to somebody, I would just say, whatever you do, whatever you choose to do, live in the moment, do it what makes you fulfilled, not necessarily makes you happy, but what fulfills you, what feels like this is my purpose, find your purpose. And sometimes it takes a long time. Yeah. It's encouraging to see a young kid like you looks like you got a decent microphone. You got the same little crane here, and
that's it.
You got a little foam rubber shit back there, and you asked good questions. I liked this interview. You asked good questions. It was refreshing. But
thank you so much.
Yeah, just keep your head clean and do more listening than you do talking.
There you have it. My exclusive podcast with Donnie Vie. I want to thank Donnie for stopping by the show. As I told him, really interesting insight. Just really cool to capture what he said here, to present it to you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please smash that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Leave a comment, click the like button, but most importantly, click that little notification bell right next to the subscribe button. And that will give you real-time updates to everything I'm putting up, all the content that you don't want to miss. Also the audio platforms, that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio. Click that follow or subscribe button and stay up to date with all the content that I'm going to be putting out. There's going to be a lot of it. You can follow me on social media at Cassius Morris. The podcast is at Cassius Show. And this is on virtually all social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. Until next time, this is Cassius Morris saying, rock on.